What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not a Victory Monday. It might be the complete opposite of a Victory Monday. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 5-4. They are now just one game up in the AFC North. A brutal loss to the Chargers has awakened all of the demons and every critic humanly possible. There are some fingers being pointed, some very alarming quotes coming from some captains that we have to dive into. And then there's a big, giant conversation staring us all in the face that I think it is time to at least pan out a little bit here. It snowed last night in Pittsburgh. Yeah. For those of you who do not know what a schedule is like after an NFL game, after a night game, you are done working. I was just telling Jacob, I think I got done working about 1:30, crawled into bed, fell asleep, said, all right, I'm going to sleep till 7:30, that's late for me. I'm going to sleep till 7:30. My wife woke me up at 7:30 and said, hey, I got to show you something. Opened the window as if I was going to be excited. I said, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? I was visibly upset first thing in the morning. It sucks. We're here. It's winter. Love it, hate it. I hate it. Hope you're doing better than I am today, my friend. How are you?
Not as bothered by the snow, the sleet, the wintry mix we received. Yeah, I found it kind of uplifting, honestly, after just a miserable weekend. I was telling you right before we hopped on here, I had dinner with my wife, and I had dinner with my mom and her husband, and he made mention of sort of how depressing of a turn we had taken last week on the show after the trade deadline. Well, yes. Buckle up, Ben, because it ain't getting better now.
No.
But I'm happy to be here with you, buddy, as always. What a defeat Monday to celebrate with.
It was a defeat Monday. It chalks it up, and it is as bad as it gets. Like, as bad as it gets. 25-10 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That 7-point touchdown came in the garbagest of garbage times as Roman Wilson scores his second score of the season. There are questions about Aaron Rodgers emerging from this one. There are questions about the defense. Has the offense finally broke? Are the Pittsburgh Steelers finally at a place where they missed the trade deadline? They weren't able to get anybody, and immediately we are seeing the downfall and the results that you get from that. I think these are all questions that are being asked and are very warranted right now. Meanwhile, the fan base is upset. I think that's the biggest part of this is a Monday, and I judge everything off of numbers. I'm a big numbers guy. And you could tell if the Pittsburgh Steelers lose, there's usually a decrease in people who want to read things, people who want to watch things, people who want to engage. Like, I'm one of them. You know what I mean? I don't want to turn the TV on and listen about how bad the world is involving the Pittsburgh Steelers. I get it. But a loss like last night puts people in a it's a totally different realm. It is a totally different world of, like, I can't even stomach what is happening right now. It's almost a disbelief. That's what came with last night. We're going to dive into Aaron Rodgers. We're going to dive into a very alarming quote from Cam Hayward. We're going to dive into where the Steelers need to go because people already have questions about changes at serious positions. They didn't make a move. Their offense stunk. Their defense stunk. This is the first game all season where you could say Aaron Rodgers lost the Pittsburgh Steelers a football game. Broderick Jones is back to being Broderick Jones. Brandon Echols' experiment was fun for a week, maybe half of a game. But now it's over. Darius Slay is concussed, which means there's not even a backup option. Corey Trice still has a knee injury. He's not coming back. There are no goods. No goods for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You watched that game last night. You made it through. You were forced to make it through, like some of us. I mean, is it in your head? We all watched the game. We could look at an assessment. In your head, is it over? Like, in your head, is this it? Like, was that the game that just said, all right, that's the epitome of the Pittsburgh Steelers, a loss against the Chargers in disrupting fashion?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it is. I think it is the end. I don't think it was a question of where we were going beforehand, though, so I don't think it has this like doom and gloom quality to it as well. Like, yeah, They go up against a very good Los Angeles Chargers team, vastly outplayed on both sides of the ball.
Yes.
That is incredibly emblematic of the fact that they are just not that good of a team, and they are not within the competitive realm of the best teams in the AFC and fighting for that Super Bowl. So I think it was another very telling performance of how they stack up against the best teams in the league. And while I think they can certainly recover here, it's 5-4, as many of them stated last night, they still have a 1-game lead in the AFC North. I think that's going to quickly go away here in the coming weeks, but it's not like they are 1-8 or something like that. Like,
Yes.
we have runway here left, so you cannot sit here and say, all right, season's over, let's chalk it up, let's just start planning for the draft. I understand that you can't push that button all the way at the other end of the spectrum here, but yeah, they're not going on a run. If you are still holding out hope here going into week 10, I think it's very safe to take that hope, just tuck it away in a nice little box for next time, maybe. Let's just not really, let's let it lay for a little bit, because it's not happening this year.
I don't think it happens this year either. I think last night was an indicator that the Steelers are capable of potentially winning the AFC North, but they're not capable of winning a Super Bowl. That's not where they're at. And we could continue to ride this roller coaster, and chances are we are going to continue to ride the roller coaster. There's a good chance that the Steelers walk into Acrisure Stadium next week and beat the brakes off of the Cincinnati Bengals, because you just see that happens. But the roller coaster ride doesn't win you a Super Bowl. It just doesn't. The roller coaster ride doesn't make you a contender. It just makes you what you've been for the last 8 seasons. And here it is. And truthfully, this is the first game where I looked at it and said, I'm not putting the blame. I'm not saying fire Mike Tomlin. I'm not saying, this is this person's fault or that person's fault. To me, this game was the first time that I looked at it and just said, they did everything they could for the last 5 years. They have done everything in their power to keep this thing together and to fight as hard as humanly possible to make themselves and keep themselves contenders. And last night was the first time that you really watched it and you just said, it's over. Like, that hope, that hold on to contention status is gone. It's no longer, it can't be there anymore. And can you rebuild it? 100%, but you have to actually rebuild it. You can't just hold on to the pieces that you hope will get you there and then try to supplement the others. There's too many of them now, and it's not working. You know what I mean? You're filling in at first it was like find an inside linebacker and a couple of offensive linemen. Now it's find a corner, a safety, an inside linebacker, a couple of defensive tackles, a couple of offensive players, some wide receivers, a quarterback. Like, no. There are too many pieces. There's too many pieces that you are trying to super glue and duct tape together, and it's just not working anymore. And I think that's what it's the car that you're holding on to for dear life, saying, dude, I remember when I first bought this thing, and my first car, it's got 299,000 miles on it. I am going to make it happen. And you're at the end of the road with that car. It's time to sell the car. It's time to move on. The biggest question that comes with that is Aaron Rodgers. Because I have had conversations as early as Saturday, and I am kicking myself in the butt for holding on to the story, because I told myself I'm going to write it Monday morning. I'm going to say Monday morning, this is going to be my Monday morning story. It was how the Pittsburgh Steelers love Aaron Rodgers and want Aaron Rodgers to come back so bad. They want him to come back for a year. This is what sources are telling me. They want him to come back for a year, mentor Will Howard and another quarterback, not just Will Howard. They want another rookie quarterback out there, one that they could take potentially in the first round. They want Aaron Rodgers to be the mentor. They think that he could keep them alive and the Super Bowl window open so that they could prepare for the next guy. And I was ready to write it Monday morning after a nice win in LA. That story is useless now. That story does nothing these days. Aaron Rodgers is the biggest one. He has his worst game as a Pittsburgh Steeler last night. And I mean, I'll just open the floor. Like, have your thoughts. I'm guessing they have changed on Aaron and the future of the Steelers. And if you would consider bringing him back.
I mean, honestly, no, I think it entrenched where I've been sitting for the most part, which is there's no reason to bring him back beyond 2025. And I think doing so only perpetuates the same path, the same set of events that just continues to keep the Steelers locked in this 9-8 purgatory. And I think it is, while I understand the love, I certainly see it, at the times that I am around the team and around the facilities. Like, there is clearly an admiration from the players to the coaching staff to the organization top to bottom, right? They love Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
for sure. I am not saying this as sort of just a reaction to the game. The game was bad.
Yes.
I think I find some comfort in the fact that the reason it was so, or a major reason that it was so bad, was because their 41-year-old quarterback had an off night. Like, if that's the reason why you lose a game, that's, call it what you want. In the middle of trying to take control of the division, in the middle of this regular season, it's not the best performance or the best timing to see this performance, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers is now suddenly fallen off the cliff entirely. I think we are just seeing a 41-year-old who has played well above his means, well above what the expectations are, finally come back down a little bit against a very good Los Angeles Chargers team, a very good pass rushing Chargers team at that. So,
yes,
all that said, all that aside, Aaron Rodgers, I think, maintains his status as being the guy who can get them anywhere if they are to go anywhere in 2025. But looking forward, I just see no reason to bring him back. The mentorship quality, the ability to hang on for another year, I think, is just not helpful in the grand scheme of rebuilding these Steelers back to a championship organization. So I can't get behind bringing Rodgers back, even if he continues to be an MVP candidate for the rest of the season. Aside from this one bad performance, I still will continue to say I don't want this soon to be 42-year-old quarterback on this roster in 2026.
Where do you want them to go? I think I stand on the other side. I think I bring back Rodgers, but my thought process is I bring back Rodgers if he is very willing to accept that this team's going to suck. That 2026 is going to be we are doing everything we can to replace as many positions as we can with youth, not with veterans. We're going out to get a new safety and a franchise corner and a new wide receiver and a new left tackle and some new defensive tackle help and maybe a new inside linebacker. And, all of these pieces are going to be new and reconstructed, and it's going to lead to a significant downturn in 2026. I have no problem if Aaron wants to come back for that, only because, to be really honest, I don't want a rookie quarterback out there. Like, I don't want to toss, Ty Simpson or whoever out there and say, all right, dude, go suck. Have fun. Chalk it up. I'd toss Will Howard out there. If Rodgers retired, I'd toss Will out there and say, you got 1 year, prove it. I wouldn't bet on him proving it. And I wouldn't leave the door open if he didn't 100% prove it. If Will wasn't the definite franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers after one season, he would not get another one. I would go draft somebody else. But I would bring back Rodgers for one if he was okay with that situation. Where would you go? What would be where's your quarterback? Who's your quarterback in 2026? You don't have to give me exact name, but direction.
Sure. I guess my question to you and to, I guess, anyone holding that same mindset going forward is, if the plan is that, you're going to suck, or the expectation is that this is not going to be a good team in 2026, why does it matter if you have a 22-year veteran at the helm versus Ty Simpson or a rookie quarterback? Like, if the goal is to transition and part of that is being a bad team in the process temporarily, why do we need a veteran? Like, what is the mentor? If you're going to suck, there's no mentorship to be gained, in my opinion. It's the same reason, like, why the Tennessee Titans would hang on to, like, Calvin Ridley. Like, what mentorship are you going to gain by playing on a terrible team just by being with a veteran? I don't really find the value in that. Maybe the Steelers do on a much greater scale than I do. And fine, they're the big brass. I don't get paid to make decisions, but I think the general direction you have to go at this point is you have to stop going down the same path you have been for basically a decade. And I think that means getting younger, investing in younger pieces, taking risks. And that includes maybe going younger at quarterback. It includes, Howard, Mason Rudolph, a third rookie quarterback battling it out next year. Again, if you're going to be a bad team, I don't really want to see Aaron Rodgers, fighting for his life for another season while the team goes 4-12 or whatever, or 4-13. Like, I'd rather see Will Howard, Mason Rudolph, and insert rookie draft pick, go through those struggles instead, in the knowledge of having the knowledge of they're going to be a better team in 2027 and beyond. Like, I'm fine with that. Maybe not everybody is, but that's at least the direction I would like to see the team go down.
I agree. I want a rookie quarterback, Will Howard. You could remove Mason from the equation. In my eyes, you could remove. Like, if you could, like, Mason should not be Mason should not be starting in 2026. It's Will Howard or a rookie quarterback. In my eyes, it's where Aaron Rodgers makes sense. And this is so selfish. And I'm sorry, Aaron, if you hear this. But, like, I don't care if Aaron gets his butt kicked for 17 games. You know what I mean? I don't. Like, it comes with the understanding. I tell him that before the season. Aaron, you want to come back, dude? You come back. And that's the thing is, if you tell Aaron, hey, dude, you want to come back, but we're not trying to win. Like, we're trying to win a Super Bowl, but we're making moves for the future. And he says, all right, sounds good. He's fully aware. He's a smart guy. If he looks at it and goes, you nuts, dude? I'm not coming back for a rebuild year. I'm out. Then he retires and everything's good. But if you want to, I mean, I look at it as I was in the building with Kenny. You know what I mean? Like, I saw Kenny not be able to lead a team. I saw that, like, he never got that because Mitch never had that. Mitch was never able to lead the Steelers, and there was nobody to teach Kenny how to lead the Steelers. And I think that part's valuable. I think that part in the Aaron Rodgers is a true, like me and you talk about all the time. Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback. He is as professional, like he's as good at being the quarterback as possible. Everything off the field. If you could teach that to Will Howard and somebody else in a season and they get to watch that, I think there is benefit there. Do I think it makes them a franchise quarterback? No. Do I have a little bit of PTSD from the Kenny situation? Certainly. And I think that plays a role into this, but that's where my value is. But again, Aaron is under the full understanding that the Steelers are not working this offseason to win a Super Bowl, but rather to rebuild the team. That is the direction I would go. And the list to rebuild I did it today. I put out a video today. These are the positions I came up with that you have to now scratch if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is stuff that you have to, and you can't do it all in a season. You got to do it in multiple seasons. Wide receiver 2/wide receiver 1, corner 1. Joey could stay as a corner 2. You need a cornerstone franchise corner. They don't have that right now. You need a safety. Even if Jalen's staying there, you need a safety. You need a defensive tackle to replace Cam when he retires. And maybe it's Keanu Benton, but you better have somebody else there too. I'm sorry, PQ, but you need like PQ was the team MVP halfway through the season. PQ is very replaceable right now. Very replaceable in my eyes. You need a left tackle. I'm over the Broderick project. It's done. To me, Broderick is not. Those 2 games of Broderick looks good. We're fun. It's done. It's over with. You need a left guard. Even if it's just to compete with Spencer, you need a left guard. And you need a quarterback. Like, that's half your team. Like, you have a running back. Shout out to Jalen Warren. That's it. That's all you got. And the rest of your offensive line. But to me, it's like I'm not looking to sign veterans at any of those places. I'm going draft for all of them over the next 3 years.
It's a long and winding road back to true contention. And I think what just bothers the ever living crap out of me is why, and this is hindsight, retrospective conversations at this point, but why bring in Jalen Ramsey? Why, go out and give up a draft pick for DK and then give him so much money if you're like, you know what, in 2025 we're pretty cool with just being 9-8 again, and then in 2026 we're going to start actually rebuilding, and then maybe in 2027 or 2028 we'll start to compete once again. And why make these moves that are clearly pieces that are added to teams that are on the cusp of contention or just trying to put themselves over the edge, but clearly that's not the situation the Steelers find themselves in the 2025 season. So I get kind of stumped going back and forth. Love Jalen Ramsey, love having having DK Metcalf on the team, but if the plan was just to rebuild in a year, what a waste.
What a waste. I don't think it was. I think everybody needs to realize it is. And I mean, okay, so I'll ask you the question. Like, do you think the Steelers will acknowledge that at any point? Do you think that the Steelers will, or do you think we're still going to continue? They're still going to continue this train of what the hell are you trying to do here, brother? You know, at some point, if it continues, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be a team completely compiled of 30-year-olds who are 3 years past their prime that the Steelers traded 4th-round picks for. That's what will happen.
Yeah, I mean, but that doesn't even feel like that's what's going to happen. That feels like just where they're at. Like, aside from the fact that they have so many draft picks in 2026, they are saddled with a ton of big contracts and players that are 30 and over. They have a lot of players that are about to hit, an option year or will need a new contract. So
Yes.
It paints the picture of a team that is very much, oversaturated with veterans, needs to find a way to rebuild the roster. But I think they just did such a good job of, and good for them. Maybe shame on us for having the wool pulled over our eyes for such a period of time. But like,
Yeah.
they did such a good job of selling me, at least, at being an all-in team in 2025. And when it's all said and done, they're probably still going to be a wild card team, right? Like this same carousel
for
will keep
sure.
spinning. But like, they're not a championship team, and I would like this team to acknowledge that maybe that was the plan, didn't work. We're going to try something new. We believe in our head coach, you know what I mean? Like, we believe in our foundational pieces, but we need to surround them with the right additional ones, like that, because that's obvious. Everyone understands that and knows that. So why delay it, hide it, shy away from it,
I agree. Will they? I don't know. All right, let's talk this Cam quote, because I think it's very alarming to where the Steelers are and only adds to what we have going on here. You have it in front of you. Can you read it to us?
I certainly can. Asked about everything after the game, Cam Hayward said, I'm not looking for an excuse. I'm looking to just play better. We talk about it, but do we really know what we're doing? Play in and play out? Do we trust the guy next to us? Defense, offense, do we trust each other to be in the right spots to make plays?
That is exactly what we are just talking about. To a T, what we are talking about. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a team compiled of free agent acquisitions and trades that are super expensive, that Mike Tomlin, in his head, if we were playing Madden, this was the greatest team on turf. But in real life, it takes cohesion. And I talked about that in my to-go this morning. Like, the Super Bowl team, the Super Bowl XL team was here a week ago, was in Pittsburgh. And you looked around the room. Casey Hampton, his entire career in Pittsburgh. Brett Kiesel, his entire career in Pittsburgh. Aaron Smith, his entire career in Pittsburgh. You're looking at Ben Roethlisberger, his entire career in Pittsburgh. Alan Faneca, James Farrier, Larry Foote. You got guys like Troy that were on that team. You got guys like Ryan Clark that were on that team. James Harrison that were on that team. The Steelers, you go to the Seattle Super Bowl. Steelers are great. You go to the XL team. The Steelers are even better. And then you go to the Green Bay loss in the Super Bowl. That's the best Steelers defense in my head since I've been alive. That team just kept getting better because they kept playing they built it, and then they let it grow. And the Steelers right now are a team that are wondering if they could all trust each other because they never let it grow. They're just trying to patchwork this thing and duct tape it, and it doesn't win you Super Bowls. One team since we have been alive have been able to do that, and that was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady. And I get it. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, like, I see where you're coming from there. You know what I mean? I get it. I see the vision that the Steelers have, but it didn't work. It's not working. So in my eyes, it's like that is exactly what we're talking about, is that the Steelers are missing the one element of football that you cannot add in free agency. And that is to grow and build together so that you build something pretty substantial. That's what they're missing.
Truly. I find that to be, amongst all the stuff that we've talked about today and recently, and all the things that have caused very justifiable concern. This is now, I want to say, the second or third season in a row where there has been some sort of comment emerging from the locker room where there is an obvious distrust amongst the players in executing what they're supposed to on the field. And I don't quite understand how you get there as professionals. I just like, what are you
Yes.
doing every day that you
Yes.
just like get to the game on Sunday and you're like, oh man, I didn't know I was supposed to be here, or I didn't hear that audible, or whatever the case may be. And it's so evident on the field, but that is just the absolute antithesis of a championship team, of a Super Bowl team. The way that the Steelers built that program tradition up in the early 2000s and in the
Yep.
70s, and the way the Patriots did that with Tom Brady was, again, by just letting things grow. I think that's a perfect analogy that you use there. I just it there's there is room to correct, there is room to improve,
Yes.
and there's
Certainly.
lots of room for growth, right? Like that, I think that always needs to be kind of added here in this conversation, because we are, going to into now week 11 of the regular season, not the wild card round. So there's room for all of that, but I think it is beyond alarming to me. It tells me that this team is in need of something beyond what they can just do on a day-to-day basis. You cannot just magically make a team coalesce and come together and become a unit that plays for one another and not just themselves. Until then, they are just a collective of individuals trying to make plays, and that's just a recipe for getting your butt kicked.
Yes, yes, it's a recipe for being let down. And the chat has let me know the Rams did this. I don't think Philly did this. The Rams did this. That's true. Screw them
Mhm.
picks. I get it. You know what I mean? So it happened twice. And again, like I hear you. I hear you. It's not working for the Steelers, just like you said. And I don't think that you can't add that. That takes years to develop, and the Steelers don't have years of time with some of their guys. And it's unfortunate. It sucks that right now Cam Hayward and TJ Watt are both looking at careers that probably don't include maybe not even a playoff win, And well, for Cam, he's won some playoff games, but TJ, maybe not a playoff win, But that's where the Steelers are. And again, they hung on. If they did this 4 years ago and just said, screw it, we're going to rebuild everything, which they tried and they failed so miserably on, then maybe they're in a better spot. But again, like just like you said, you can't build that overnight, and the Steelers are trying to. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working. Do you think the Steelers, prediction of the day here, do you think the Steelers still win the AFC North?
No, no, I
Oh,
don't.
jabbed
And
right, stabbed right in the heart.
I made this prediction several weeks ago too. I said, look out for when the Ravens were 1-5. I remember talking about this on this show with you. I was like, watch what'll happen. What is the most Pittsburgh Steelers thing possible? And it's for them to not win the division after having such a gaping hole of a lead. And I don't understand how you could give it up. But I don't think they're going to win the AFC North. I think they are going to sneak into the playoffs as a wild card team.
Big yikes. I think they still win the AFC North. I don't believe in the Ravens yet. Sorry. I just don't.
Fair,
and I think
fair enough.
I think the Steelers are. I'm more so apologizing to the Ravens, and I think the Steelers are going to beat Cincy. I think they're going to beat Cleveland one more time, and then I think they're going to potentially split Baltimore, and that's going to be enough to just give them an advantage. That's what I think is going to happen. I'm very nervous for Buffalo and Detroit, and even Chicago, who's officially back right now, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right, guys. With that said, that's everything on our agenda. We're going to start answering all your questions. Toss them in the chat, but first we're going to take a quick break.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Can't thank you guys enough. Before we get going, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Does wonders for us. We can't thank you guys enough. With that said, we're going to get kicking with ND Joe. I hate to say I told you so as to what we needed prior to the trade deadline. A guard, offensive tackle, and cornerback are depth pieces they need to spend money on. Give a quarterback time in the pocket. He will help any play develop more. The Steelers do need a corner. I think that, look, the Broderick projects, again, we touched on this a little bit. The Broderick's so bad, man.
Great band name. It's the Broderick Project.
The Broderick Project. It's a good one. However, I would not listen to it because I think last night was the end of me for Broderick Jones. Maybe I'm overreacting there, but I think last night was the final time he could turn it around for the rest of the season, and I still think I'd look at it and go, I think I'd replace him in the offseason.
Yeah. I'm totally okay with that. I have no lingering defense for Broderick Jones anymore. Like I'm fine to let him play the season out. Like I that's great. Don't really feel like he is an important or crucial piece of the offensive line moving forward. The other thing that I think just needs mentioned, and I don't think this is going to be a huge problem the rest of the year or the rest of the regular season, but even as poorly as the offensive line played against the Los Angeles Chargers, Aaron Rodgers' inability to just move away from tackles, and how often he just kind of moved up into Los Angeles Chargers defenders was just as unforgivable as the poor offensive line play. I just have much more hope and confidence in Aaron Rodgers, in the future Hall of Famer, that he will rebound next week against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes, and I think part of it is he's scared. I believe people are calling him out saying Aaron's scared. Dude, yeah, I'd be petrified too. The guy has a collapsed pocket every single game, all game long. And best moves? No, you should not be. It was a lot of him last night. It was a lot of him. But I also think that, man, I'm over. I don't think that you could continue to justify it. I think at some point you have to say that's the most important position on our offensive line. And if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. I agree. Guard, I think I'd draft a guard in the middle rounds, like a Mason McCormick type, see if he could compete with Spencer Anderson, and I'd feel okay about it. I'm going to get a franchise corner after the season. And he's under the age of 25. I don't care how I get him. He's under the age of 25. And that's that. Peyton the Great White Poke Salad. Jacob got some background. MVS will save us. Shout out. Look at that little money bank.
Look at that.
Money bank out there.
Money in the bank. Yeah. I don't know which way is the best way to. There it is. Shout out. Where's this one right behind me? Teeny Harris, one of the greatest photographers of all time. This is a collage of him behind me.
That's sick.
Born in the Hill District. Nice. Capture some of the greatest moments of life in sports in the 50s and 60s. So look him up. There's a museum of his work too in the city.
That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
MVS,
got a little background today. MVS,
I like it, dude. I'm a big fan. That Troy Polamalu book fell in the middle of the night the other day. Woke up, thought I was gonna die. Was like, oh man, dude, this is the night. Grab my little airsoft gun. We were ready to go. Anybody breaks into my house, just know, airsoft gun, dude. I don't gotta get you. I just gotta stun you. If I could stun you, I could get to you. I could tackle you. That's all I need to do. That's all I need to do. All right, MVS, does he come out this week?
Yeah, has to. They don't have a choice.
Don't have a choice.
Who else are they gonna play? I mean, the every single possible other option besides the garbage time touchdown from Roman Wilson came up short or had a blunder of some sorts against the Chargers, making it abundantly clear how much they lack a number 2 wide receiving option behind DK Metcalf. MVS is well on his way to crushing your prediction of being the number 2 wide receiver by season's end. And God, that is just so depressing as well.
It's very depressing, but it's true. You got to bring it. There's no question. The second Calvin Austin let that ball back, this is what happened when that ball hit Austin's hands and went that far backwards. It was almost as if he threw it to Dante Jackson and just said, there you go, pal. I've never been this wide open in my life. You want it? And that was the moment I said, MVS is wide receiver 2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no ignoring it anymore. Has to happen. Does it solve anything? Probably not. Does it need to happen today? Certainly. Chris, Tomlin was a good coach, but he just isn't getting the results anymore. We need to be honest with ourselves. We need to rebuild, and it will take 3 years. I think more than 3, to be honest with you. I'm looking at a 4 to 5 year rebuild for the Pittsburgh Steelers if you're going to do it successfully. And I battle with the Tomlin thing, man. I battle with the Tomlin thing. Like, I don't know if you're going to get a coach better than Mike Tomlin to rebuild with, but I also don't know if Tomlin's going to hold you back in the rebuild. And I think that's that's the conversation I would like to have. That's the honest conversation I'd like to have with the Pittsburgh Steelers is, Mike, are you open to a full rebuild? Like, are you open to that? Because if you're open to that, let's talk. But if you're not, if your goal is to win a Super Bowl every year with the understanding that, you know, you're going to do everything you can to continue to try to win a Super Bowl, that's not the head coach I want right now. It's just not. Like, I want a coach who understands that this team's going to suck for 2 years and then you're going to try to figure it out. That's what I want.
Yeah. Look, I think you're bang on with the notion that they won't get a better head coach through a rebuilding process. Yes. I just feel super confident that Mike Tomlin is not the ideal head coach to go through a full rebuild, because every time they try to do it, and every time they try to, you know, retool on the fly or to add just a couple of pieces, try to find the right mix, it hasn't quite worked. I think Mike Tomlin is pretty much driving the bus on the team's continued pursuit of winning, even if they don't have all of the pieces and the foundational parts of their organization and roster in place. Mike Tomlin still propels them forward, still goes full steam ahead, trying to make the playoffs. And I think because of that, as great as that is, as much as that is what has gotten him the respect and acumen that he has acquired and accumulated in the NFL, it's not really what you need when your team is in need of individual development, in need of patience and time to sort of all come together. That's not really what Mike Tomlin operates under right now. And I think another team would probably would benefit on a much greater scale from that than a rebuilding Steelers team. So that's kind of where I sit on that debate. Even if Tomlin wants to be a part of a rebuild, I don't know if I'm running the Steelers, if I'm Omar, the Roonies, etc. I don't know if I'm thrilled about that option.
I don't disagree. You know what I mean? I don't disagree. And I think that's the hardest part of all of it, is just admitting, like, you have to go through so many hiccups to figure this thing out. And that sucks. It sucks to do that. Peyton, the great white poke salad. We always give 100%, 50, 50, 80, 20, whatever. The Steelers offense was an 80-20 split this week. Let me tell you, it was an 80-20 split for sure. It is a great comment. It's a great comment. I can't Puna dude. I don't know. Obviously, we look pretty cooked, especially on offense now. Go figure. MVS doesn't move the needle. Agree. And we didn't get a trade. Should we sign OBJ? No chance in hell. No chance in hell. Don't even think about it. Why? Why? I'd take MVS 15 times before I considered OBJ. I'd have 11 MVSs playing offense before OBJ even came in for a visit. No chance. No chance. OBJ does nothing. You know what I mean? Does literally nothing. You have an OBJ. His name's Ben Skoranek. Does just as much.
Like, no, you're right. I don't they should not touch OBJ with a 39.5-foot pole at this point. Like, there was never a reason to bring him in or consider him earlier in this season. There's certainly no reason now. The MVS is not a needle mover.
No,
they lost that opportunity. They had this huge chance filled with time to address the issue, to fully make this offense complete, to make this offense suitable for Aaron Rodgers to not have to be the saving grace for it. And instead, they just kept throwing Calvin Austin and Scotty Miller and Ben Skoranek and Roman Wilson on the field. And this is what you get. This is the situation. Like, they made their bed. They don't have needle movers in terms of wide receivers behind DK Metcalf. They have to just kind of lie in it. And you could dream up wonderful scenarios for MVS and how he and Aaron Rodgers might reclaim some days of yore, but I would be hesitant to really get behind that bandwagon.
No, I wouldn't even poke that bandwagon. Wouldn't even poke it. Wouldn't even think about it. Want One more for us. Our wide receivers are just not getting open for A-Rod, especially Metcalf. We need help downfield. The guys we have now have butter hands and move like snails. All of those are one or the other for sure. For sure. And that's my thing with DK is like, I think DK is great, but I don't look at this as a team where you have a star wide receiver that you have to consider double teaming if you're the defense and a number 2 that you have to worry about plus a tight end. The Pittsburgh Steelers are, how can we shut down DK Metcalf? Because we literally do not care if Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, Ben Skoranek, or any of their 11 tight ends touch the foot. We could care less. Teams play the Pittsburgh Steelers and go, you want to throw the ball to Calvin Austin? Great. Dante Jackson will intercept it. No worries there. Like, it doesn't matter. They could care less. There's literally nobody to take attention off of DK. And that's my problem. That's the problem, is that this is not a normal somebody's getting double teamed. It's you have one game plan, and that's to shut down DK Metcalf. And if you could do that, you've won. You've beat the Steelers offense, you know?
Well, exactly. Defenses are inviting the Steelers to take advantage of the fact that they are paying so much attention to DK Metcalf. Like, there is always a safety covering up high. There is double teams being used on him. Like, they're trying to chip him really close to the line to knock him off any routes. Like, every defense knows they know the book on the Steelers offense, and they're just trying to take away DK Metcalf. And yet the Steelers cannot find a way for Jonnu Smith to make that impact play at the perfect time. He had that chance yesterday, but couldn't control the ball. Not a great throw from Rodgers, but still, that's your time to make a difference. Be that number 2 option in the offense, and instead, it was just a number 2 play like the LaPoopies.
Spot on. It's spot on, and it's again like if you have a number 2. Your Steelers offense looks like you got DK Metcalf, a number 2, and 3 quality tight ends. Awesome. Like, that's a good receiving game. Who would have thought? But you miss one of those pieces, it's significant. Chris, I agree with Jacob. Our quarterback won't matter next year if we are in rebuilding mode. The 2027 and 2028 draft should be where we target a franchise quarterback. I think personally the Steelers are going to go 2027. I think that's where they're going to go with their quarterback. I think they are very open to being patient and to seeing what they have in Will Howard, but not expecting him to be the guy. And probably even if he does look good, still drafting a quarterback in 2027. Like, that's just what I've heard.
I believe that. And I think the outlook on the 2026 class certainly lines up with that. I don't know if we talked about this, but reportedly there were Steelers scouts once again at a UCLA game this weekend.
Yes.
Which
I will be honest, the Steelers West Coast scout, like what else is he doing right now? You know what I mean? Where else are you going?
He could be looking at a lot of other, there's a lot of other needs to address. I think there's one player on UCLA that has the Steelers' attention a little bit.
Could you pronounce his last name?
No. No, I can't. And I don't want to disrespect this young man.
Do you think he comes out? Do you think Nico comes out in 27?
Ooh, I don't know.
That would be for the Steelers' benefit. It would be.
He's played better the last couple of weeks, so I think if he finishes the season okay and UCLA doesn't just kind of crap the bed the rest of the way, which they probably will. They're not very good.
They stink.
They do stink, but I think it's possible that he does. But I think it makes a lot of sense, lines up with what you've been hearing here, for him to be maybe a 2027 project or someone that they're looking for, not for this upcoming draft, but the one after.
I agree. ND Joe, this game was like I was playing my son in Madden. Once he found a play that works, he plays it again and again. Ears are still ringing from Collins, Chris Collinsworth saying McConkey's name over and over. I got to say, dude, shout out, all respect to Chris Collinsworth. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what I enjoyed more last night. Him saying that Aaron Rodgers and Dante Jackson played together, which was a blast to hear. Or that the Steelers tried to move Darnell Washington to tackle and Aaron told them, no, don't do that. because
Yeah.
that did not happen, guys. That is not truthful, even a little bit. Not even a second worth of truth in that equation at all. Darnell never took a snap at tackle. Steelers never had that conversation. And he was just, they tried to move him to tackle. And Aaron Rodgers said, don't even do it. I said, no, Chris, they didn't do that. I don't get to listen to the broadcast much. Last night was a good time.
Man, poor Brandon Eccles. Talk about how much of a difference a week makes, and whenever there's someone who really knows what they're doing in the slot, Brandon Eccles suddenly doesn't look like a starting slot corner anymore, huh?
No,
that was tough. He got burnt.
Yeah, it's not good. Bernard, do y'all think A-Rod is washed after last night? No. Gosh, no. And I think Aaron Rodgers, up until this game, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think last night was his first really bad game with the Steelers. I think the Steelers overall are a team that I'm losing a lot of faith in, but I don't like Aaron could have bad games from now until the end of the season. And I still look at him and be like, you know what? Wasn't Aaron's fault. Steelers didn't stink because of Aaron Rodgers. I don't view that at all. No, I don't think Aaron's washed even a little bit.
I don't, and shame on them if, again, like we are sitting here recapping the 2025 season and we're like, this team really put a 41-year-old quarterback in such an important position that the balance of their entire season hung on his performance. Like that's just they deserve it if that's the way they go out. You know what I mean? Because they have just done such a poor job of putting together a competitive football team around Rodgers.
Yes, I agree. Andy Joe, how do they keep MVS on the practice squad for so long when Duggar was signed on Tuesday and played that Sunday? Duggar was traded for, MVS was signed to the practice squad. So different. I think they also they like Calvin Austin. I think Juan Thornhill is very much so done. The Juan Thornhill experiment was fun. We had a great time, a lot of laughs, a lot of, oh my goshes. And, I think it's over. So I think that's the difference is they still have faith in everybody in the wide receiver core, and they had no faith in Juan Thornhill. What?
I think Juan Thornhill might not be a Steeler anymore.
Did he get released?
He might have.
Whoa.
His Instagram account says it's been real, Pittsburgh.
Wow. Did he really? That's crazy.
Is this like 2 episodes in a row we've had like breaking news?
Breaking news. I don't know. I just texted Jack to look into it because he'll find it.
Yes, he will.
It's crazy.
Yes, he will. Oh, dear Lord. Even after he made that special teams tackle yesterday,
dude,
that's golly, that's surprising.
Shout out to, but that's why Juan Thornhill. Here we go. We're getting a text back. He said Jack said not a. Oh, that's where you saw it. Good old Dom sent it.
Yeah, I just saw
that. That's crazy.
That is absolutely nuts.
That's crazy. All right. Well, that's why.
Man.
Shout out to
Juan
Thornhill.
I check Instagram.
Yeah. Chris, guys, kid,
that is on his Instagram story, by the way.
It's over, dude. It's over. It's shout out Juan Thornhill, brother. It's been real. The Pittsburgh Steelers move on from good old Juan Thornhill. How do they replace Juan Thornhill? How do you what? I mean, I get it, but what are you releasing him? Can I toss a name out there?
Asante Samuel Jr.
Oh, that'd be a great one.
That'd be perfect.
Sebastian Castro.
Oh, is he on an active roster?
Just released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Friday afternoon.
Oh, dear Lord, he's coming back. Book it.
I could see that. I could actually see that one happening. That's wow, dude. Wow. Who would have thought?
Crazy.
Who would have thought? I don't even have a reaction to this. Mike Tomlin admitted it the other day.
It's not bad, right? It's just what, like, is Dante Kent fine? Like, they opening up his window? Like, what, Chuck Clark about to see 35% of the defensive snaps again? Like,
that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening right now. The Steelers safety room is Jalen Ramsey, who's a corner, Chuck Clark, and Kyle Duggar. What?
Oh boy!
What?
Wow!
How did you get here? How did you get here?
Look out!
Is Justin Simmons? Question mark.
Oh my God! No, why? Like, yeah. Let's add another veteran who's going to be good for 2 games and then be awful the rest of the time. That sounds great. I'd take Castro.
Yeah, I'd take Castro. I would take Castro too. I think Castro is a good move, to be honest with you. All right, let's answer Chris's question, guys. Cade Bell, we'll react to Juan probably tomorrow. I guess we're gonna have to do the whole thing. Oh, Jabril Peppers. They still got Jabril Peppers. Forgot about Jabril Peppers.
Forgot about Jabril.
Yeah. I like it. Guys, Cade Bell might be the right new coach for us. I like Cade Bell. You want to bring him in as an offensive coordinator? I think that'd be awesome. I think he's a stud over in freaking good old Pittsburgh. I'm super anti bring in the next door neighbor after the Kenny thing, and I'm also super anti hire a college coach as a head coach for an NFL team. You want to bring him in as an offensive coordinator? I'll see what happens. That's where you get the offensive coordinators, is those odds and ends positions. You're not going to Arthur Smith is a once in a blue moon situation where it's like, this is an offensive head coach who got fired, who you could hire. Most of the time it's those up and comers, and I think Cade Bell could be as a head coach. No, definitely not.
No. Please do not hire another coach from Pitt to come into this team right now. No, thank you. I am 100% with you, Noah. I think hiring a college head coach who has no prior NFL experience or no major NFL experience, so this is like Harbaugh aside, I have no faith or belief in college coaches to come in and command the respect that an NFL locker room provides. And I think I said this before, so forgive me for repeating myself. Like, an NFL locker room is a bunch of grown ass men. And you're telling me Cade Bell, who looks like he got stuffed in a locker last week, is going to come in there and and just totally tell Cam Hayward, it's time to listen to me. All right, locker. It's just, I don't think that's going to work.
I think about that every time Kellen Moore is shown on a television. I think, dude, you are not an NFL coach. You're just not.
Yeah,
you just
no.
Mike Tomlin looks like you know what I mean? He'd punch you right in the gut. These guys won't. They won't, dude. Broderick, draft and develop was a cornerstone of the Steelers' success. We've seemed to have lost our edge. Who's to blame? I think it starts with Kevin Colbert. I think that's where the blame first lies, is that the Steelers changed that philosophy because they had to, because they were drafting so terribly. And I think Mike Tomlin's number 2 on that list. I think those are the 2 people that I look at. Omar will eventually get on that list, but you don't know what a draft pick does for 5 years or for 3 years. And right now he's hit and he's missed on some, and that's expected. But Kevin Colbert, for the last 6 years of his career, and I think Kevin Colbert's a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest. Last 6 years of his career, it was bad. It was after TJ Watt, and really all around TJ Watt, it was just bad, but TJ bad. That's what it was. And I think because of that, it just, you couldn't regrow a foundation.
No. Yeah. And it's not, here's the, I guess, the context or perspective that I go to when it comes to the draft specifically. There are so many teams that are really awful at drafting. There are so few teams that I feel we can count on a yearly basis to come away with, 3 NFL players out of their draft class, right? The truth of the matter is, it is a gamble. It is a crapshoot on such a wild landscape and situation. Yes, the Steelers have not been the model or the standard to follow when it comes to drafting over the past couple of years, but I think some of that is the ebbs and flows of the league and how it changes and how the game changes and who's at the cutting edge of that and who is a little bit behind. So I think, Kevin Colbert was a great drafter. an evaluator of talent for a very long time.
Very long time.
All of that skill sort of decreased. It went away a little bit. The game changed in a way that he could not find a proper way to evaluate. And then you saw how the Steelers sort of were unable to make a lot of players take the step to the next level. Omar Khan, I think, has a little bit better understanding of where the game is at now. And I think it's been a little bit evidenced by the players he selected, but also been some misses. And I think that is just as fair to say. I when it comes to drafting, again, I try not to get too down on one particular person or approach, because at the end of the day, it feels like just such a freaking gamble.
Yeah, it's you can't judge a draft pick for 3 years, and you can't judge one draft. You can't, like, Kenny Pickett was not the reason Kevin Colbert stunk at the end there. You know what I mean? Or his draft pick stunk at the end there. You know what I mean? But you judge a collective, and at the end, it was getting spot, which is not all him. Tomlin's on every piece of that recruiting trail. Not that I think OBJ is a good option, but we clearly look senile on offense, just trying to find a speck of hope for this season. Also, it's pronounced Pununda. Love the show. Thanks for attending. Hey, Pununda. I got to write that down because I'm never going to mispronounce this again. Pununda. Shout out my guy. Appreciate you.
Thank you for telling us.
Yes, thank you very much. I wish every NFL player that I mispronounced for 3 years would do the same. I just don't think OBJ is the speck of hope. I hope MVS is. I'm not giving up on the fact that MVS could be a 500-yard receiver in Pittsburgh and provide some sort of spark. I'm not confident in it, but I would go MVS over OBJ all day, every day, and then kind of go from there. It's truly what I think. Let me ask this crazy question. And I know we got other questions to answer here. Do you think that Roman surpasses Calvin by the end of the season?
Possibly. And, I feel like that's a lot coming from me here, but I just think there are like these plays and moments where they just really turn things on such a irreversible way. And I think that missed catch, that like just a terrible play overall for Calvin Austin, was just one of those plays that I think is going to just sear into Mike Tomlin's memory and sort of just keep him right where he's at in that sort of like third spot on the depth chart, maybe keep falling. Roman Wilson, 2 touchdowns in garbage time when the team's down. Like, what really has he shown would be my argument, but relative to what he's up against, I could see him continuing to get more snaps. And because he is a second-year player, a younger player, they need players who are going to be key pieces and under team control moving forward. I could see them starting to elevate him more and more and just continue to give him opportunities to see if maybe he is someone who can find more improvement later on.
Yes, I think that at some point the Steelers are going to view Roman, and they're slowly doing it, I feel like, to elevate him as that wide receiver 3, because MVS is going to be wide receiver 2. Let's be honest. Leroy, what's wrong with Shiloh Sanders? Shiloh wasn't that good coming out of college. If his name wasn't Sanders, he wouldn't have gotten any attention. I remember talking to scouts at the NFL Combine and just asking about him, and everybody told me the same thing. Like, he's not an NFL player. Somebody's gonna bring him on to see, but he's not an NFL player. So that's just, at the end of the day, that's what it is. If his name wasn't Shiloh Sanders, we would never have a conversation about him. So that's just what it is. Yeah. Interstellar, is it delusional to believe Mike Tomlin can get the Steelers to another Super Bowl? No, I do not think that's delusional. I don't. Would I bet on it? Do I foresee it happening? No. Do I think it's would it blow my absolute mind if it happened? Nope. It wouldn't blow my mind if it happened this year. If the Steelers ended up in San Francisco at the end of the season, I'd sit here and go, classic Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers. Classic. Just when you thought they were out, you bring them back in. Like, that's delusional. No chance. Would I bet on it? Do I foresee it happening? No. There's no part of me that sees that, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I think it would still be an overreaction to say that there is no chance Mike Tomlin can take the Steelers team to a Super Bowl ever again. I certainly understand if anyone wants to totally write him off at this point. I think that's
Yes.
fine and justifiable.
Agreed. Very much so agreed. This one's for you, Pittsburgh Feelers. I hate that I love this the Steelers. I think everybody was the Jets fan last night, just staring at the ground going, I was born into this. This sucks, but I was born into this. And you know what? Freedom's a real thing, guys. It's not. We can never leave, but freedom's a real thing. Leroy, it's time to elevate JPJ's cousin. Crazy enough, they're actually not related, but Daryl Porter Jr. for sure. Bring him up. Bring him up. See what you got. He's not going to be good, but bring him up. You know, whatever.
Yeah, they still have. They have a couple other defensive backs on their practice squad still too. I think Daquan Hardy's still on there.
Yes,
and
yes, he is.
Maybe. Oh, there was someone else. Ooh, it escapes me. It's okay. Derek Forrest may still be on there.
Yeah. Yep.
So
quality safety. Maybe he's the guy that's replacing Juan Thornhill.
Look at all these options. It's a plethora.
It's crazy times. Maddie, hot take. We aren't going to win the division. Instead, we should see what we have in Howard and go from there. We aren't going to get in as a wild card, as the AFC as a whole is very close this year. Look, you want to test out Will Howard if this season's over, if I'm running the football team and I know that my job, I would have to be told 5 things. And I might not be the number, but I'm going to come up with 5. You're not getting fired for sucking. You have to lose this season to draft bet. This is the goal now. You don't have to talk to TJ Watt or be in the same room and or hallway of him for the next 17 weeks. You don't have to be the guy telling Aaron, DK, Jalen Ramsey, Cam Hayward, or anybody else that this decision has been made. And again, I want a full guarantee that my job is still around next season. Those are the 5 things that I need before I say I'm benching my quarterback for Will Howard. Those are the 5 things that I need. And
dude, way to name 5 things. That was
thanks. Thank you. Will Howard will not play this season, but if it's the last 3 games of the season and the whole year's done, which won't happen, sure. Nate needs more salad. Conspiracy theory. Tomlin doesn't want the next quarterback to be drafted because recent NFL history shows that rookie QBs get head coaches fired. Dable, Meyer, Callahan, Eberflus, Reich. I mean, all these coaches stink. So true. Yes and no. But like Brian Dable, terrible. Meyer, terrible. Callahan, atrocious. Eberflus, atrocious. I think at some point it's going to be the other way around where you're going like, dude, you can't find a quarterback. You can't make this happen without one. It's time to move on. It's time to move in a different direction.
Wow. That was, that's a very interesting point raised by Nate here. There's a lot of, it feels like a chicken or the egg thing where it's like, is it because rookie quarterbacks are volatile, as a general position, or is it because a lot of these guys were just not good enough as head coaches? I'm not really sure what the answer is.
No, the answer is the second
conclusion.
Yeah, the answer is the second one.
You telling me Brian Callahan was really that bad?
Yes. And Matt Eberflus and Brian Dable lasted so long for zero reason. Hannibal, no matter how it ends, fire Tomlin. His MSG is dry. What does MSG mean? I don't know.
Monosodium glutamate? Is that what we're talking
Maybe
about?
that's the one right there. What a name to bring up on that. What a word to drop.
Add it to your food. Tastes delicious.
Look at I think depending on how the season ends, there are real conversations. How real those conversations are depend on how crazy this season turns out.
Message.
See, dude, we're idiots.
Guys,
we're dumb. We're just a bunch of dumbos just hanging out, dude. Just a bunch of dumbos hanging out. That's what we are. Renegade, Minka, Noah and Jacob, are you concerned about Jonnu Smith dropping 2 key passes last week and yesterday? Passes weren't the best, but should have been caught. Yeah. Jonnu Smith has not played up to the $12 million that he's being paid right now. It's just not even the Steelers offense. Answer this for me. Would the Steelers offense be any different? And would the results be any different if it was just Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, and Connor Hayward?
Nope. Be no different.
None.
Connor Hayward
None
would have more
whatsoever.
receptions. That'd be about it.
Yeah, that's literally it. There's besides that, Pat is clearly tight end 1. Maybe tight end 2 because of Darnell is tight end 1. Yes.
Yeah, I think the left tackle named Darnell Washington is clearly their tight end 1 at this point. I'm talking about experiments needing to be over. I think Jonnu Smith and Arthur Smith, whenever they inevitably are both not with the Steelers next year, can just, they can go. That experiment can end.
It again, agreed. Maddie, do you think Khan was maybe misread his pickups and picks in the draft? Seems like more misses than hits. I think it's way too early. I also think order of operations is something like this. We need this in free agency and the NFL draft. We need a corner. Okay, cool. Go get Byron Murphy. We can't do that. He's too expensive. But here's a Darius Slay. All right, cool. We'll take him. I think that's how it goes. Tomlin tells Omar the position he needs to fill. Omar brings him options. Tomlin picks that's a guess, but that's how I see it going down. In the draft, I think it's too early. I think you need, I think most draft picks miss. You're lucky to get 2-3 guys out of a draft pick every year, out of a draft class every year that like really become serious key contributors. I think the Steelers got some of those. I don't think Keanu's going anywhere. I don't think Nick Herbig's going anywhere. Darnell's a hit, obviously. And I think you could say that Joey's still around, maybe not anything more than that, but he's still around. But yeah,
there's hits. I mean, Derek Harmon's a hell of a player. I don't think.
Yes.
There's good players in under Omar Khan's draft classes for sure.
Yes. And I think good pickups as well. I just think, tough times. Nate needs more salad. If Tomlin were to be fired, would he hang him up or go elsewhere? I think he'd go elsewhere. Here's a great question to add on to that. Do you think he'd hang him up? Do you think he'd retire?
I think he might. I don't know.
Maybe take like a year or two off.
Definitely could see that. I mean, I'm just like his kids are grown, like his wife's got a whole business. Like
but he's young.
I know, but like he worked for 2 decades in the NFL and made so much money. I'd just be kicking my feet up, be like,
yeah, brother,
years, maybe I'll come back. But
you would do that after 2 seasons. They'd pay you $30 million, and you'd be like, you know what? I think I'm good. I think this is good enough. And I would do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're not NFL head coaches because our brain doesn't go, I don't care about the money. I want the thing. No, dude, you're a psychopath. That's what he is. And I don't know. I agree with you. I think that there's a possibility that he's like this, I need some time. I think that. How about this one? Mark Collins, don't fire Tomlin. Trade him next year before the season begins and before the draft for as many picks as possible. Real conversation about trading Mike Tomlin. He's got a no trade clause, so he's got to accept it. He wouldn't accept anything. But first time ever, I'm saying, ooh, maybe.
I would not want to trade Mike Tomlin, but I think there is a ton of validity in if you're moving on, if you're done, the best bang for your buck is obviously to move him for some sort of picks. I think the conversation is definitely worth having. I personally would say don't trade him.
Yeah,
seems like a poor way to end what is a Hall of Fame coaching tenure with the Steelers.
That part's also true. The respect there. I'm just, I get that. Leroy, Andrews Pete couldn't block school kids from crossing the street, let alone an NFL defender. I think it was awesome to watch him just like jump right off the ball, first one, and everybody go, Andrews Pete is starting at guard. What is happening right now? Shout out to Andrews Pete, dude. Shout out to Andrews Pete. Should not be on the football field anymore. Shout out to Andrews Pete.
What blew my mind, and I don't know if you saw, like, I didn't expect him to even be like around, like even with
Seattle, I forgot he was active.
Yeah, and like when I was at the facilities on Friday, I didn't see anything to indicate he was really going to be a part of the plans on Sunday. So I was like shocked to see him on the first play of the field. I was like, that's crazy.
That's That's so crazy. I like, again, I don't know. They wanted the jumbo package. Andrews Pete he got a little excited. It is official. Juan Thornhill is officially released by the Pittsburgh Steelers as of right now. It was fun, dude. It was fun.
Hi, buddy.
Smoothest Buddhist. I so wanted to believe in the Steelers, and I started to, which was my first mistake. Same old Steelers. Smoothest, dude. You are riding a roller coaster worse than any of us this year. And I just, to be honest with you, I'd say keep riding it. You know what I mean? Because nothing is more fun than the Steelers roller coaster. And by the end of it, you are exhausted. You're a little bit depressed. You know what I mean? The seasonal depression hits way harder when it's January and snowing and you're going, Steelers just lost by 35 in the playoffs. This is awesome. But hold on. You know what I mean? The best I could do is say, hold on, because it's not going to end well. But you might as well hang out for the ride. Interstellar. Why do you guys think the run game struggled so much going around the outside using Jaylen Warren? I mean, Jaylen Warren averaged 5 yards a carry last night. I don't think it was awful, but I also think that they just couldn't contain the Chargers have good edge rushers and pretty good inside linebackers. And I think both of those were evident last night.
Yes. Also, like when you're trying to run outside of the tackles, is that what the question was?
Yes.
You have to have a guard pull. Like, and you have to have a guard you trust. Isaac Seumalo, when healthy, quite good at that. Spencer Anderson, really good in the jumbo personnel. Probably not the guy you're calling on for that. So, like, it didn't seem like the Steelers were really running the best schemes to run that way. But, I mean, give credit to Jaylen Warren. I don't think he needs to be running outside of the tackles. I think he does a lot of work hitting one hole and just sort of, like, shifting through it. So I don't think they need to do that to really open up the run game. I think they need to just keep Jaylen Warren on the field for more than 46% of the offensive snaps. It's probably a better way to get the run game going.
Yes. Verdict. Jaylen Warren has been a beast this season, though. Agreed. The guy he is one of, you don't have to replace your tight ends. You don't have to replace 3/4 of your offensive line. You don't have to replace your running back. And you don't have to replace your wide receiver one. Steelers offense, besides that, stinks. But with those pieces, very good. Very good. We'll finish it up with quick 2 here. Raccoon, do you think that we finally hear Mike Tomlin chants if they lose their next home game? No. Maybe, no. But I don't control that. I think that the collective will never chant fire Tomlin. And I think it'd be wild if they did. Wild.
I think we'd have to see something crazy still. Not just a 5-4 team not playing their best.
Yeah. And let's finish it off with John here. Can we at least agree that James Pierre is better than Darius on the ground? I lay slay.
Come on. He got concussed. Come on.
Dude, shout out to James. Throw you down the big show Pierre last night, because that guy added a much needed spark. Justin Gordon is Kenny G in the doghouse. I did like seeing the rookie running back KJ. No, I think it was just the game plan. I think that's all it was, is that they wanted to get Caleb Johnson involved. They shouldn't have. Should have been Kenny G. Should have been Jaylen Warren. Should have rode your hot hands. They chose not to. All around a very wild and very confusing game plan by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
All right, guys. With that said, we are heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Hit that like button before you head out of here. Find our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. With that said, we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg.